Hello everyone, how you going? Welcome to What's the Safest Place on Earth, a valid question and something I'm wondering if you can even quantify.
Living on Earth in the modern world is the safest time to be alive in all of human history so far. Thanks to achievements in medicine, science, peace, and technology, we can live a healthier, longer, and more peaceful life than any generation of humans before us. But where exactly on Earth is the absolute safest place for you to live in?
I mean, some people might say that they just have to hide inside their bedroom so they never have to interact with anyone else. No danger, just absolutely just box themselves in. I mean, I feel as though that's probably not the safest thing for your mental health, but in terms of physical things, it might be safest. And I'm also curious, when was this made? 2017. All right. A few things have happened since 2017, and there are a few things that are ongoing, and so I guess we'll just have to take that into consideration when watching this video.
In other words, where are you statistically least likely to experience any kind of pain or suffering during your lifetime? There are a few possible places for you to consider, so let's go through them. The first criteria that we'll be using is life expectancy. Residents of these 10 countries live the longest lives anywhere in the world, but none as long as Monaco, where the average life expectancy for both men and women is an incredible 89.5 years.
Wait, that's absolutely insane. I want to take it back to all of these ones, and Monaco just blitzing everyone as an average to have, what, nearly 6 years on top of everyone else. I mean, we know that Australia is pretty good. I'm surprised that Canada isn't on here because I thought that maybe they were 82.1, so they just don't make it or something. I guess that really does show you that money has some kind of influence, maybe, or I really don't know. Why is that so old?
But none as long as Monaco, where the average life expectancy for both men and women is an incredible 89.5 years. One trick to live a longer lifetime is to be the correct gender. Women all around the world live longer lives than men do on average. But here in Monaco, they have a life expectancy of 93.5 years, the longest anywhere on Earth. If you're
Wait, what? 93.5 is the average. How the hell do you achieve that? I mean, maybe like I said, it is just a money thing. They've never really had to work any particularly physically strenuous jobs. They've never had to be exposed to carcinogens in the same way that some people, let's say they're mining or anything like that. But still, to be at 93 years as an average and 89 for, I guess, everyone. What are the men then, I wonder?
If your biggest fear is being murdered by another human, then you should consider living in one of these 10 countries that have the lowest intentional homicide rates. Andorra, Monaco,
what was that? Intentional homicide?
Countries that have the lowest intentional homicide rates. Andorra, Monaco, Liechtenstein, and San Marino all reported not a single murder in the previous year. While
Monaco again.
Japan has the lowest homicide rate of any country in the world that's not a city or a microstate. While your chances of being murdered in Japan are astronomically lower than almost anywhere else, your chances of being the victim of a natural disaster like a tsunami or an earthquake are astronomically higher at the same time.
Yeah, that is certainly a thing. Just look at that plateau. I mean, we all know, or everyone would have heard of any tsunamis, earthquakes. They're really living on that ring of fire and just in the ring of danger. And I guess their rates are also just going to be because their population is so high per square kilometer, especially in Tokyo. But I also want to take it back. What was the other countries' lowest homicide rates? Macau, Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan, French Polynesia, Brunei, Indonesia, Austria, Bahrain, and Norway. Damn, that's a hell of a list. I wonder how it compares to the other one. Like I said, then he went on to say that Andorra, Monaco, Liechtenstein, and San Marino didn't have any, and so I wonder, are they just a list of 14 things or something? I mean, to be honest, I am kind of surprised about Monaco because I would have thought that there would have been someone along the line that was just a little bit too money hungry and just, I don't know, got caught in the act, so to say. And then, like he said, it's very impressive on Japan's behalf, considering they have, what, 75 or 80 million people, and so I guess I'm not surprised that it's Japan, and I guess someone has to be it, but at the same time, I would have thought it would have been someone with a little bit less of a population than that.
10 countries where you're less likely to become a victim, however, are these, which also happen to be the 10 countries where natural disasters happen least often.
Well, isn't that kind of obvious? The lowest natural disaster risk is going to be when there's having less of them. And I guess some of them are actually quite small countries. Take Malta or Iceland, you know, they're just not high populations. And so I guess if they had one happen, then they might actually just spike it. But then really, if you have such a low population, the natural disaster risk per person is going to be so low because you just don't have the kind of the numbers to even be risky in the first place. And then really some of them like the UAE are just kind of completely in the middle of the tectonic plate, I'm fairly sure. Yeah, look at that, they're just directly on their own plate. I mean, I guess that means they are quite close to the borders because it is such a small plate. There are some smaller ones, but realistically they're kind of just in the middle of it, compared to everyone along the Ring of Fire, South America border, USA border, Japan, Australia's just on its own, but New Zealand, just all those guys are just absolutely smashed by the Ring of Fire right there.
Qatar tops this list as the country where you're least likely to ever be a victim of a disaster, while neighboring Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates also score very highly here.
Yeah, exactly that. Look at them all just sitting there on their own tectonic plate. Man, it would be nice.
As far as the overall happiness of a country's population, however, Scandinavia dominates the list, with Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Finland, and Sweden all placing in the top 10 happiest countries.
Hang on a second. I mean, I understand that you went Norway, Denmark, but surely Iceland is included. Look where it is. Switzerland is also just kind of there as well, Finland. And so really, there's just this entire area. Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, Finland, Sweden, Netherlands, they're all literally right there. The only real outliers are Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Australia and New Zealand are just neighbours, and then Canada and Australia are very, very similar. And so really, just everyone on this list makes sense, and they're just either really up north or really down south.
Happiness is measured by high GDP per capita, high life expectancy, freedom to make life choices, and low corruption. And all of Scandinavia excels in all of these areas. A few other countries around the world are also pretty happy places, but Scandinavia also dominates the list of countries with the greatest amount of freedom of the press, with the same 5 countries once again being in the top 10. You're least likely to be attacked or persecuted for what you write in these countries. And
look at that. I'm kind of surprised about Jamaica, to be honest, and Costa Rica. I mean, I wouldn't have put them on a bad list. I just wouldn't expect them to be in the top 10 in the world.
You're least likely to be attacked or persecuted for what you write in these countries. And unsurprisingly, Scandinavia also scores highly in the top 10 least air-polluted countries, with Sweden, Iceland, and Finland all scoring highly here.
Whoa, the United States is there as well? I certainly wouldn't have thought that. I mean, Australia makes sense because we're so massive. I just would have thought that with the US, you just wouldn't get it because people live everywhere over the entire country. So I would have thought there would have been places in South America and Africa that would have way less air pollution than the US, and Spain maybe as well, Australia even. We can get off there. You know, we don't have the best air in the world, I don't think. I mean, New Zealand certainly makes sense. Brunei, Sweden, yeah, Canada, Australia, like I said, we're big. Finland, Iceland, once again, they're just well-run countries, I guess. But yeah, the United States has just completely caught me off guard.
Canada, Australia, and especially New Zealand also have some of the cleanest air to breathe in the world, so your risk of getting lung or respiratory diseases in any of these is significantly lower than elsewhere. As far as being a danger to yourself is concerned, however, the islands of the Caribbean tend to have the lowest suicide rates, with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Grenada, Barbados, and especially Antigua and Barbuda having the lowest in the world.
How? Well, like, not even how, but just why? Or I want to know so many more things about that. I mean, some of these places have absolutely tiny populations, and I'm almost wondering how much data they have. But no, I'm surprised that there's no Nordic countries on this entire list, because I would have thought they would be on here somewhere. But hey, I guess if all of these guys are better, then good on them.
If dying from disease is what you're most terrified by, however, then you should know that these 10 countries are where your odds of death from a non-communicable disease are the lowest.
Just remember that this is 2017, and so I wonder if this has changed at all. But really, looking at this list, I don't know how well it would stack up, but Iceland, Japan, Switzerland, Australia, Israel, Italy, Spain, Sweden, Austria, and Canada. I mean, I guess overall they haven't been too bad, but yeah, I mean, things have certainly changed a little bit since 2017.
Switzerland, Japan, and Iceland are all equally safe in this regard. But Iceland excels in one more final category. The Global Peace Index ranks every country in the world every year from least safe to most safe. And this year, in 2017, they've awarded the title of the safest country on Earth to none other than Iceland. You may have noticed that Iceland has absolutely excelled in nearly all of these categories.
Yeah, funny that. I mean, if you have ever played Plague Inc., you know that Iceland can just be absolutely ridiculously difficult to get into. They just shut their borders immediately, and so I guess even in the real world it works out quite well for them. Apparently it's in 2017 was the world's safest country. I wonder what it is this year or the last previous years. Here we go, most peaceful countries 2022. There we go. Of course, it's still there. Iceland, New Zealand, Denmark, Portugal, Slovenia, Austria, Switzerland, Ireland, Czech Republic, and Canada. damn, but Iceland just topping it out again and kind of just absolutely blitzing the competition. Look, 1.1 compared to 1.25, 1.25 again, 1.26, 3, like they're just leagues ahead. So I wonder if it's just been that way forever. Does it say anything as of 2021? Iceland, this should come in no surprise to those familiar with the index, as Iceland has taken the top spot for 14 years in a row. Damn, I guess there's just kind of no comparison then. Go to Iceland if you just want to be safe. I mean, I am curious because Iceland runs directly through a tectonic fault line, so I guess that explains because I knew they had a lot of volcanoes, but man, I guess the volcanoes aren't very deadly or something. And then of course just all these Nordic countries are just in the middle of the massive Eurasian plate. But that certainly doesn't begin to explain Japan, because look at that, just 4 plates just right knocking on their front door. And so hey, I guess you don't have to be in the middle of a tectonic plate to be happy, but it kind of is a correlation, it seems.
In addition, Iceland has had a total of 1 person killed in any military conflicts in the last nearly 500 years. And it was during—
What? Hang on a second, 500 years? How do they even have data going back that long? I mean, I can understand if you said within the last 50 years or even 100 years, but 500 years? And really, how many conflicts has there been that they've been involved in? Surely not that many. Is that how they're getting so low?
And it was during an argument over fishing rights with the United Kingdom in the 1970s. Police violence is also incredibly rare, since Icelandic police have only ever claimed the life of 1 person in the entire country's modern history.
Wow.
So the case is very strong for Iceland being the safest place to live out your life in the entire world. But other places that scored highly in all of these categories that would make for a good secondary alternative safe place are Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Spain, Monaco, Austria, Singapore, Brunei, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada.
Well, he certainly didn't narrow the list down too much, did he? The fact that he included Monaco in there, I mean, I guess the stats don't lie, but I feel as though the majority of people aren't ever going to be able to live in Monaco. But I guess based off what he's just said, I can only assume that Iceland is probably the safest place to be in a lot of things. I mean, I certainly can't argue with a lot of the statistics, but I guess it also comes down to what lifestyle you want to live. You know, Iceland is quite remote, it's quite cold, I can only assume, especially considering Iceland is in the name. So I guess some other countries like Canada or like Australia or like New Zealand or Japan, depending on what language, depending on what lifestyle you want, they're just going to be better. So I'm interested to see if you can actually just kind of nail it down to a safest place. Well, I can't believe it. He just went straight from saying what is the safest place on earth, and I was saying, oh, okay, is he actually going to kind of say what I said in terms of some people think that their bedroom or their bed, or what I guess is what he said, is going to be the safest place. But no, it was just an ad for just buying mattresses. I couldn't believe it. It was like, whoa, it completely caught me off guard. But it's also a little bit disappointing because I was hoping for him to just nail it down, going, here you go, this is the one like house or city that you want to live in if you just want to be the safest place. But he didn't. He just went, okay, yeah, Iceland's pretty darn good. Yeah, you probably want to live there if you just want to absolutely focus on being safe. But then he just went on to name all of these places.
Switzerland, Denmark, Norway,
Yeah.
Sweden, Finland, Spain, Monaco, Austria, Singapore, Brunei, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada.
Like, he names half the world by that point. I mean, to be honest, listening to the list, I would be pretty happy living in any of those places. I'd like to visit the Nordic countries as well. They seem pretty darn cool, especially based off this list. And then, of course, I'm feeling pretty happy about Australia making a list, and New Zealand's great because they're just our neighbors and I've been there. That's pretty cool as well. And then, of course, we have Canada, just to wrap it all up. You know, considering the entire stereotype is that they're so nice and there's not really any trouble or anything going on, I would certainly think, and this list and video certainly backed it up in terms of that, it's a pretty nice place to be living. And hey, considering that we can see Greenland up the top right, and then you come, 10 seconds, 15 seconds earlier, and you can see Greenland up the top left of Iceland, it certainly seems to me as though there's something going on up there. They're just all sharing their secrets. I mean, I guess Australia and New Zealand have their own secrets, but hey, all those just cold Arctic Nordic countries, they're just doing their best and it's working for them. I think it just really goes to show that if your country just made it anywhere throughout this entire video, if it made it onto any of these lists, be it countries by press freedom or at least polluted countries or just anything along the entire thing, really, I think you're living in a pretty good country compared to a lot of places you could be. But anyway, in saying that, I reckon I'm going to call it there. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, feel free to do the YouTube algorithm things down below. Also, if this is the first video of mine that you're watching, then make sure to check out just any other videos I've done. Also, make sure to go check out the original video down in the description below. Or hey, maybe even just want to consider subscribing so that you don't miss another one of these in the future. But all in all, have a good one and see ya.